Welcome to today's session of PTD. This is the season 34, episode 1, called preseason or pre-NDL season. We have questions today. Post-draft risers and fallers. Who are the current contenders this season?
Well, I'm gonna jump in real quick. As far as post-draft fallers, I wanted to comment on. I believe South Florida and Tulane fell down quite a bit, and also Texas. Texas was a surprise to go down at 10. I would have expected them to go a lot higher up than they did.
Good feedback. I agree with you in regards to Texas. The one that I am looking at is Auburn. Hold on one second. I hear a double echo on my side. All right. For me, Auburn was the biggest faller. Stockton had gone all the way down to I think around pick 32. I know they were picked mistakenly at one point, but for them to fall to 32 was very surprising.
Yeah, I was on the fence about grabbing Auburn at 31, but looking at the team and the schedule, it made a choice a little bit easier for me. I'm not sure who else has any fallers on their list. I will say the risers though. Watching UGA go back up at 1 and LSU not too far right behind them. I don't really want to say the risers are the teams themselves, but the coaches at the positions they were at to draft those teams, I would say would be the risers for me.
Yeah, I kind of did a mix of the two. I was kind of focusing on coaches. So, um, I guess I guess we're gonna look at teams risers. Low hanging fruit's gonna be seeing those Mountain West teams go in the top 20. We had Air Force go at 14 to dub, which was interesting, and we also had Dak take San Jose State at 26. So those are two interesting risers that you probably wouldn't have seen picked anywhere in the top 30 if not for the retirement community known as the Mountain West. Um, Fallers, I had Auburn on my list too. I think an interesting P5 faller, and we were kind of talking about it during the draft show, was I believe it was UTSA. Kind of has a good roster. Kind of could have been a sleeper P5 team. They went all the way at 69. And then I would also say, and it may have been a fear of what's going on in the SEC, Kentucky falling all the way down to 59, even though it's an SEC team kind of toward the bottom. But them lasting that long was kind of surprising considering how popular the SEC is.
Actually, let me add. D Kane had mentioned that he was initially thinking about Auburn. The fact that Vandy had fallen that far too, with their starting quarterback being one of the top quarterbacks in the game, is very surprising as well. Um, in regards to Riser BYU, you know, being taken at 12, I would have expected them more in that 20 range, but that's just me.
No, I actually would agree with you because I thought BYU would have been like closer, like in the range of my choices than Vandy. I mean, like you said, I have to agree. Pavia is the number 2 quarterback in the game, and him having that platinum headstrong. No other quarterback on the game has headstrong above bronze other than Pavia. So being able to call hot routes and audibles on in the SEC is important, and having that as a factor, I don't see why people slept on that.
I gotta say, I love how you know every player's badges, who has the platinum ones, everything. It's incredible, man.
As
All right,
far
let's
as
get
the additional part of the
well,
question, as far as contenders, I'd have to say that it's going to be the usual suspects for me, but team wise, but with because of the coaches. So UGA, with that coach doing what he did with Missouri State, that's going to be something awesome to see. Sammy is always right there up at the pack, and he has a solid running game with Penn State. Marion is always, one of those coaches that are always in the conversation. And him having the defensive speed that he has at Bama is going to be a factor. Of course, I'm expecting D Kennedy to make a repeat. And I mean, I'm sorry, but Jiggy with a phenomenal quarterback. It doesn't matter how good the rest of the team is, but you give him a solid quarterback and the man does damage. So I'm expecting big things out of him, out of Florida, and of course, Bucknut gets to travel over to Texas A&M. So those are going to be the coaches that I see that have a possibility of contending for the Natty this season.
So when you had mentioned Ohio State, all I heard was a bunch of boos. D. Kennedy is a great coach, but Ohio State, no, thank you. I agree with you in regards to Georgia. Um, One of the biggest contenders that I was looking at was Texano at Duke. He happens to go from a USC, which had some very good stars, to now a better defense. He's going to be a contender in the ACC as well as possibly the CFP.
think we kind of overlooked. I don't know if you said it, DK, but Marion County at Alabama, going from a Utah to Alabama, could be an interesting one, considering made um he went pretty deep into the CFP last year. So him going from, I mean, there's not much not much further to go up from Utah, but he found a way to do that by going to Alabama. So I'm very curious to see how that works.
Oh yeah, I definitely mentioned Marion. He was the number 3 coach on my list.
Oh, okay, word.
He just needs to know how to stop the run, and he'll be good.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
Nah, so let's go into topic number 2. Which coaches will be on the hot seat the most this season? And finally, I can say it will not be me. Hey, no laughing.
Well, oddly enough, I saw CG on here with us, and I mean, I know he did really good things over at Michigan State, but that Texas squad, if you don't have them figured out, that's going to be a really, really tough toss up with that schedule. I feel like he might be one that's on a hot seat. And no offense to you, freak, but Michigan is like, yeah, um, yeah. Michigan is definitely going to be on the hot seat. Looking at their schedule and all the coaches that went over to the Big Ten, yeah, Michigan coaches. Yeah, I'm sorry, guy.
I'm not in Michigan. I'm good.
So I'll go down the list a bit myself and just pick two, I guess, potentially fun teams that could be available if for coaches that didn't have quite the success that they probably needed last year. I'll start with the Big Ten, Nebraska, MGR. I know there are some Nebraska fans um, in the NDL, so I'm sure they're watching his performance very closely to see what his goals are and how well he's going to do.
Big
And
game week
then,
1.
oh, right, exactly. And then another one, he's kind of mentioned this himself. He was surprised he didn't get fired in the first place. AU Chase over at Arizona State. That's kind of a fun squad that I'm sure some people might want to look at just to kind of play around with if he were to get fired. So those are two that are a little further down because, I mean, it's easy to say those 80, 88 plus teams. Naturally, those folks are going to be on the hot seat if this is their first season and they don't have a bank. But going down a little further down the list, those are two that I picked out.
I support both of us. I support both you guys there. The one thing I got to say is the money in the bank bonus points is very key. A lot of owners happened to use them last season in order to just keep their team this year. One of the biggest teams that I am seeing that's going to be on the hot seat is the University of Miami. C Nasty is a great coach, but he has some tough competition in the ACC. Another coach that will be on the hot seat, maybe Boise State in the Mountain West Conference.
Hot seat, huh?
Glad you mentioned Miami because I mean Corey's my boy and all, but I kind of hope he gets fired next season because I hope I have a really really good draft pick.
Shots fired.
Dang. Oh, all this
Tell us how
friendly
you
fire over
really
here.
feel, DK.
Right.
All right, next topic. New Power Four coaches. Which former Group of Five coaches will impress the most with their new teams this season?
I mean, this should be easy to answer.
Yep.
I
It's
mean, you
very
got
easy.
my boy going over to Georgia, and then also I'm expecting to see Nadog over at Illinois do some make some noise in the Big Ten.
Okay, there's two of the coaches off my board. I have two more Big Ten teams and one Big 12 team. You got Washington. Drewski has been he went 7-6 with Kent State last season, and now is already having an impressive start in the Beefy Cup. Will it roll over to the regular season? And also cruising at USC. He's got a whole bunch of weapons there. Can he do what needs to be done in LA to keep them? As well as my buddy Sean at TCU. I think he can do some damage over there. He came from Temple, but only time will tell.
Yeah. Good call on cruising. That was one on my list. I could cheat and say Metro getting his alma mater at MSU, but he technically has had a good team before, so we won't use him. The other one, I know some folks have him on the hot seat. I mean, CG at Texas.
Wait, CG came
Um,
from
wait,
MSU though, right?
no, I'm getting him mixed up with cruising. Yeah, he came from MSU. That's right. Never mind. He's good. Shoot. Yeah, you took my good ones, unfortunately, but definitely agree with cruising because he had a good season at Eastern Michigan for sure. He was actually my top pick other than the obvious, Jose over there at Georgia. Let's see. Do we have anybody else that I want to pick out? I think those are the top two I had.
All right, next one. What coach is most likely to make their first CFP this year?
Unfortunately for Jose, he already made the CSP with Missouri State. So the two coaches I picked out was and it's funny because I keep putting this guy on like different various hot seats or other situations. But CG, if he can pull it off at Texas, he can see his first one. Because I don't think he made it with Michigan State, no. And then Morton Cow over there in Oklahoma, like he has the weapons and he has the team to do it. Oh, is he going to be able to keep it together long enough to make that happen?
So I'll go out on a limb and I'm going to say, if I had to pick two people, I'm going to say cruising at USC. I think he has a good shot at it. And then I'm going to go a little further down and go with a dark horse and say Weasel makes some noise in the SEC. That's my long shot bet right there. We'll see if he can back up all that crap talk he did last year.
Pop goes the weasel.
Mhm.
All right, I respect those decisions. I'm gonna go in a different direction. Go with Oklahoma. If Mort can get everything going, everything rolling with his defenses and the run game, Oklahoma, and he can compete in the SEC, I think he has a great shot at making the CFP. You know, he doesn't have to go through Jiggy at Texas. I don't know if Jiggy's still on the schedule, but I think he has a better chance.
It's a good call.
Uh quick Next topic, quick overview slash breakdown of each Power Four conference. Pick a few teams from each conference and talk about their strengths and weaknesses.
Well, I'll start off. I'll start off in the MAC. Again, some low hanging fruit here. We got Andy, who's already making some noise in the cup with his cup games. We know he enjoys a good high powered offense, and nobody has a defense in the MAC, so he'll fit right in perfectly there. Um, he'll give our fan favorite, fired up Chip at Central Michigan a run for his money. And then, do you have anybody else stay from there? Looking at the coach list, I don't think anybody else stayed, but those are your top two contenders on paper right out the gate from the MAC for sure. If I wanted to pivot to the Sun Belt, I'm gonna go up to the American. Actually, if we look at the American, you've got Jokers at Memphis. I know their running back got a really nice boost over there. So again, another conference that doesn't have much speed. So if you get a good focal point of your offense that's got a lot of speed, you can do a lot of damage there. So I like what Jokers can do at Memphis. Pirate Flag getting his coveted team of East Carolina. He's going to know that's something about a fan having their team, knowing their team inside and out. So I look to see, fully expect him to be a contender in the AAC this year. And if I had to pick one more out of there, I'm going to go with Lone with UTSA just because that there's a lot of talent on offense on that one, which could make for some fun shootouts over there in the American Athletic.
All right. Well, I'll go ahead and jump in real quick. With the conferences that I took a look at, again, kind of piggybacking off of Iraka, with the All American, you have a sleepy, sneaky good team over at South Florida. I mean, the pieces are there for you to be able to get into a conference championship. And Joker still being at Memphis and his team getting the buffs that they did, I see him repeating. And Tulsa is actually another solid squad there as well. In the ACC, of course, you have Clemson and their dynamic pieces that they have on their team. Texano getting Duke, I think he's going to shake some things up there, and Louisville. I think those are going to be the three solid teams we're going to see out of the ACC. CUSA, I'm looking at Western Kentucky, Liberty, and Jackson State, or Jacksonville State, I should say. SEC, I'm looking at Bama, Texas A&M, and Florida. Mountain West, that was hard. Boise and Hawaii, and I couldn't pick a third. I really couldn't. The MAC, were of course fired up Chip and his Central Michigan team, Andy and Buffalo, and believe it or not, because of the roster, I'm leaning towards Akron. Um, Big 12, I have we have Jumper over at Baylor, we got Patty over at Utah, and of course Wiles at Texas Tech. Big 10, we got D Kennedy, we got Smitty, and we got Big Mike. Um, those are the squads that I was looking at the conferences so far. I do believe I did miss the Sun Belt. Um, but looking at, I'd say roster wise, you'd probably be keeping a good eye on what is it? Texas State, Arkansas State, Arkansas State, and I'm thinking Brady might actually have some pieces put together because he's been messing around with that App State team for a little bit. So hopefully,
Mm-hmm.
something comes out of that App State team. Otherwise, ODU is going to sneak in. I'm only plugging ODU because I'm going to that school next year. So ODU might sneak in, and creep up on somebody. But yeah, that's pretty much it with the teams that I can look at right now.
Thank you, guys. I did not have the opportunity to do my own research on that topic. However, I like part D here. Rookie of the Year predictions. Which new to Power 4 coach will perform the best?
Now, when we say new Power 4 coach, are we talking about like new to the NDL or just new to the Power 4?
Uh, per the question, I'm assuming it's new to the Power 4. However, I think we can also include new to the NDL. So you could just use Rookie of the Year. So whether it's a new Power 4 coach or if you've already found a coach that is going to be outstanding, that would put them at Rookie of the Year.
Oh. You just made that question way harder than it was before.
Right?
I mean, you added it. I just
wasn't
went
adding
with
anything.
what
I
you
was
had
asking
said.
for clarification. I was just
Whichever
trying to
whoever you
clarify.
think is going to be the Rookie of the Year.
Hmm.
I mean, by default, I'll take two easy ones that I've already talked about before. I'd say cruising, going 10-3 with Eastern Michigan, going to USC is a nice one. And then since I'm picking him for his first CFP appearance, I got to go with Weasel at Auburn. He's gonna if he can manage to run that SEC gauntlet by default, he should get Rookie of the Year. Truthfully,
Well, if we are going new to the NDL, and we're doing P4. I'm probably gonna go with Shiesty at Akron as a possibility. Although he's not technically new to the NDL, but he is coming back. He just came back. I'd have to probably also give um, if Priest can shake off the dust, him and Toro. If those guys can shake off the dust, they would be really in the runs for the rookies because, like I said, they have been here before, but they're just now coming back. So to me, that's their rookie season. Um, but if we're talking about coaches going down to a P4 school and becoming, rookie of the year just based off of their performance, it would have to be Buffalo. But I don't think Andy can get rookie of the year. So that question was so hard. My brain is like my ADHD is like really on another level right now. I'm bouncing all over the place. Thanks a lot, Freak.
I mean, we're also in
You
preseason
made it more
form.
complicated, so we're good.
Yeah, we're in
Um,
preseason form right now. You did say Power 4 Freak, so I was like, oh. And I actually earlier I did Group of 5 instead of Power 4 when we were talking about pick 3 teams. So yeah, we're in preseason form clearly over here.
Completely
But
fine. This is the first show, and trust me, there's another topic that's gonna be even better.
Freak did this, man. My brain is like, as soon as you said that, I'm like, oh shit, we did say Power 4, and I'm sitting up here calling
yep,
G5 school. Oh, ADHD
I
is
did the
So,
same
freak
thing.
right now, bro. I need to go take my meds.
so
Oh
Power
shoot.
4 team, I'm going to say I'm gonna go with Nadog at actually no, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go with Washington with Drewski. I believe he has a great team there. He's got a lot of talent, a lot of speed. And as long as he plays defense, I think he will be a top contender for the rookie of the year for the Power Four. In regards to the entire league, I'm gonna go with UMass. Unfortunately, I did not catch the owner's name, but I have seen that he's been
Mm-mm,
putting up damage.
mm-mm,
Um,
mm-mm, mm-mm. We ain't gonna do that.
no,
Mm-mm.
no,
Don't do that.
no, no,
Nope,
Oh,
don't do that.
oh,
Mm-mm.
no.
oh,
Okay, let me find his
Nope,
name.
don't
No.
do that.
oh, goodness.
Oh, what
Talk to me.
what do you know, Deacon, that I don't?
Ant
Um,
Rains. Is that who we looking at?
Ant
I'm the
Rains at
commissioner.
UMass.
Yeah, I'm the commissioner of that conference. We can talk about that later.
Yeah, you're
Oh,
good.
Um,
We'll talk about that at a
okay.
different time.
Okay. We'll take it
So
offline.
I have a great topic to bring up. With yesterday's announcement, we received a whole bunch of new rules and adjusted rules for season 34. What rule is the most eye-popping to you guys?
I'm not following a good example because I haven't read the new rules yet. I saw the pop up. So give
I
me a
can't
minute here.
really. Well, I read the new rules, but the thing is, I already play in that to that aspect, so nothing was unfamiliar or new to me. It was, I guess you could say, it was more so, oh, we're finally pointing this out, kind of thing. Um, but I can't say that anything like really jumped out. I'm trying to think right off like the top of my head, like if there was anything that stood out to me, that was probably new to some people. Um, nope, I can't think of anything that stood out. But I will say that we do need to make sure that we are reading the rules, because uh, although we are in preseason, rules are the first things that are given to us. So there's no excuse for us to be violating rules, whether it be in a cup game or a scrim game at this point, because we should be familiar with the rules. And I will also say that if you play a coach and that coach is violating a rule, although I understand you may want to avoid the confrontation, it's best for the league as a whole that it gets addressed, because if you don't address that, that means the next coach after you is going to have to endure the same thing, and it becomes a snowball effect. So the sooner we can address something and get it corrected, the better it is for that coach and the better it is for the rest of the league. So you guys keep that in mind when it comes to playing your games and seeing things that you're noticing from your opponents that might need to be corrected.
Okay, well spoken. One of the biggest things that I had seen is it's gonna be interesting, which is yes, we were all following the rule of three, but to see now that that rule of three can be nine different things is very interesting. And what I mean is the rule of three for offensive pre-snap adjustments, whether if it's hot routing, stemming a route, motioning, blocking adjustments, IDing them like unblocking a defender, a failed hot route call. That is going to be very interesting to see um, how many people may potentially violate that and not even realize that they may have violated that rule.
You
Hmm.
know what? Now that you brought that up, yeah, that is probably the one thing that, because when I looked at it and I saw like I actually have to sit back and say I would have been guilty of, and it's mainly the failed hot routes that I would have been guilty of. I know I've made multiple attempts until I've gotten it to go, and that's probably like on your fourth attempt, depending upon your quarterback and where you're playing. So to hear or to see that being put there, that's going to change up a lot of people's game plans, because now they can't just go into a place with a play that they know they can adjust. They're actually going to have to structure their schemes and their concepts on base stock concepts in case they can't make those adjustments.
Rock, did you have a chance to check out the rules?
Yeah, I'm scanning through right now. I'm thinking definitely the rule of three is going to be the big one. I'm looking over. I don't think there were any changes to the fourth down rule, but that seems to be the most heavily violated rule that I've seen over the last, well, pretty much since we've came back. Since it's been modernized since our return from hiatus. But yeah, I'm probably gonna have to agree with y'all on that one. I don't see anything else that's kind of
Uh,
crazy.
all right. So I actually have Swabine. How about you jump in? I want to see if you have any opinions in regards to this one. I know you're new in season 33, so you got to see what a one of the different rule books that we're using now. So I want to see what your thoughts are.
I find it very easily to take it immediately. Um,
Hey, hey, Swole. Sorry for cutting you off. They're saying that they're unable to hear you. It says you're muted in the OBS. You might be muted in the
Okay.
OBS.
I think
Oh.
yeah, that was it. I didn't catch that. But thanks for pointing that out.
It's fine.
It's okay. I'll just
It's
repeat everything that I was saying in a little brief manner. So to anybody that couldn't hear me, I was just talking about the effectiveness of the new deadlines rule in scheduling games that might end up being left towards the end of the season and people just kind of put on the back burner. And that just gets rid of some of the clutter and chaos as we're closing down the season and trying to ramp up championship games and bowl games. I think personally that's a good adjustment. Other people that may need more time or that added flexibility of scheduling games and playing them whenever may not agree. But my hope is that it kind of clears up the end of season clutter that we saw. And then the other thing that I wanted to bring up about the rules that I thought was kind of interesting given the timing. So I think it was a few days ago we saw the announcement in the NDL server that there's going to be a punishment imposed for LSU with breaking a fourth down rule because they played from their own side of the field in the first quarter. With the new season 34 rules, unless I'm not understanding the free pass properly, but the free pass can now be used anytime in any situation, and the previous season 33 first half rule, where you couldn't go for it on your own side of the field, was not under any circumstances allowed. That wording kind of changed a little bit to the point now where free pass can kind of circumvent that issue. Where, in theory, if this rule were applied retroactively, LSU wouldn't be facing the sanctions that they are now. So I wonder what people's thoughts are on that, given the fact that now had that play taken place just a little bit later, that there wouldn't be any player suspensions for the first three SEC games, and potentially that could jeopardize the season success for LSU, given just how difficult the SEC is right now with dozens of coaches that I think are very good.
unfortunately, in order to add to that, unfortunately, I believe because LSU's game, the championship game or the CFP game was in last year, so it's still or last season, it was still going to last season's rules. So unfortunately, the suspension would still occur, and he said that he'll happen to do whatever's necessary in order to still be able to play, and at least it wasn't too bad of a sanction that was done, but they did have to do something in regards to it.
Yeah, I agree. Bucknut walked so we could run, essentially. I mean, yeah, it would be nice if it had been applied the last year, but because that happened, I think that's why we've gotten the verbiage tweak on the fourth down rule so that this doesn't happen and we don't have the various non-media talking heads raising hell in various chats about this, that, and the other, and those various conspiracy theories that we will not discuss on air.
I will add that it's very interesting that they use special teams in regards to that free pass rule too.
Mm-hmm.
DK, what you think, man?
Well, as far as just if everything in life, I mean, normally if something happens. Unfortunately, in LSU's case, it happened before the rule was adjusted. So there isn't always going to be a retroactive situation, or in this case, it shouldn't be, because at that time when it did happen, this was the rule. So now going forward, they've made adjustments. So anything further from that, I mean, that's where we are. And it's unfortunate because for a lot of people, sometimes it's that you're just in the heat of the moment, you're just going, and you're just kind of having tunnel vision, and all these other factors don't pop in until after the fact, and then it's too late. Um, Luckily it wasn't such a egregious violation that it would have been a lot worse than what the consequences were. But I mean, we are at where we are, and I mean, we have to start having faith, or some of these guys, I won't say we, but I like to include myself in this as well, but we have to have faith in those that we put in positions to help make decisions that we feel are best for the league. And with that, um, always trying to be the opposition instead of getting the full story and letting everything play out before voicing our opinions. It we have to work on that. We do,
Good luck with
because
that.
yeah, I know, because it sets a bad precedence and it sets a bad vibe that's completely unnecessary and complete and can be avoided if we were just patient enough just to wait to get the answers that we seek, instead of saying we don't have what we want right now. We need it right now. Something needs to be done right now. I mean, that instant gratification, get over it. We need to get by it. I mean, um, that's like one of the signs of addiction. We always look at addicts like, bro, you're just looking to get satisfied like right then and there. It's not always about you. Cut out the self-centeredness and look at the bigger picture, and we can get things moving along a lot more smoothly. And it has been getting better. I will say that. But there's still, some obstacles, some bumps in the roads, unfortunately. Love you guys though.
Love you too, man. Hey, I will tell you though, I do see a freak rule was put into the rules. Section 5, game setup, 5.3, uniforms. Home may not choose white in the snow. Shell's feeling some type of way after that Snow White game, even though he whooped my ass.
Hey, I don't have a problem with that because I know I played, and I'm sorry, Wiles. I mean, I got upset with them. I'm not even gonna lie, because I had a headache. I played him in a game, and it was snow against the all white uniform. Bro, my eyes were hurting, my head was hurting from trying to actually focus on bro. No, that is just too much. That is way too
No,
much.
it's not.
Yes, it is. We're gonna talk about an unfair advantage.
All right. So let's change the topic. There was one topic that was saved for last. What are the games of the week to watch out for in Block 1?
Let's pull up the schedule.
All right, so I'll start.
I do know they're the Texas Tech and OU. That is in week 2, right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
that's
I'm
week 2.
definitely going
Yeah,
to
that
watch
is.
that because I want to see if Morton gets do some damage. So I'm definitely going to be watching that one. I think I know Indiana has a game I want to watch. I think Texas A&M has a game I'm looking forward to. Georgia has a game I'm looking forward to. Um,
Well, Penn State, Georgia is going to be an interesting one. I believe that one's at Happy Valley. Wait, that. I think it's at Penn State. I forgot. And then you have Penn State at Vandy as well, week 2. Virginia Tech has 2 tough games to begin with. Luckily, they're both at home. You got Tennessee week 1 and Ohio State week 2. You got Michigan having two tough games to start off the year. You have Auburn at Michigan and Michigan at FSU. But the one favorite that catches my eye and is 2 NDL veterans. You have NC State homie at I think it's D Riccio or D Riccio, UConn.
oh, the UConn.
We just call him
Yes,
Dave. Yeah, that'll be a good one.
Dave. There it is. See, I feel like that's gonna be one of the games that's gonna catch everyone by surprise. It's gonna be a very close game, and Dave knows his team in and out. It's an underrated team, but he might just upset Blake.
You know, I don't. Has Dave had another team ever? I can't think since season 6 that I've ever seen him with another team.
He did when we first came back. He didn't get Connecticut. He didn't get UConn the first season we came back, and then immediately got them the following season. I think that's the only
He had
time
like the
that I
sixth
can
pick.
remember.
He had like the sixth pick and took UConn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's who he
when I
uses.
say when if you want to look at anybody who is the epitome of dynasty in the NDL, it is DiRicchio. I'm sorry.
Facts.
By the way, there's one other game that I saw that has two vets, and I'm sorry to cut anyone off. It is Rice Randog at Houston Beer Cop in week 2. Randog, I'm hoping everything's good with Boss. I'm happy to hear that, everything's, at least from what I heard, is everything's going well. Prayers are still headed your way, man. But I believe that will be a great game to watch.
All right, so I got a couple, mostly from week 2. I guess shout out to Oregon for scheduling Louisville.
What?
With our NDL Media Zones, Wolvine, Oregon, Louisville, week 2.
Are you serious?
Slovine said nope.
So
Oh my god.
I started running out of options.
Never been
yeah.
about to come
So
out.
I'm like, look at that. So we've got Oregon's got a challenging opponent, high tier team.
About damn
It'd be
time.
good to see that, right? So I
The
like
government
that
shutdown
one.
is about to end.
Just so you know, he did duck Syracuse. Just letting y'all know.
All right. We appreciate the heads up, buddy. Another good one. I don't think this was mentioned. Clemson and Texas A&M, week 2. Bucknut versus Hefe. Hefe clearly going for a very strong out-of-conference scheduling this year. So we love to see that. I couldn't get week 1 to load. I'm going to see if week 1 loads. But those are the first two that I grabbed off rip.
I tried to keep my win goal under 3.
I don't have that luxury. I'm 10-win goal pretty much by default. Unless Sam has a better team than me, I'm almost always a win goal because I have a baseline of 9. So with him being at Western Kentucky, I was already at 10. So I was like, that's fine. Okay, week 1 loaded. You guys mentioned all the good ones. Did we mention Jiggy and Georgia Tech? Jiggy and Steam? Was that mentioned? That's a good test to see how. Okay, it's an interesting game between two coaches. I am terrified of Georgia Tech's 76 rated defense against someone like Jiggy, so it could get ugly.
Yeah. That is the only reason.
Right. It's an interesting test since we haven't seen Georgia Tech in action with Steam in this version. I know he's used Georgia Tech before and he's had some pretty good success with them. So I am curious to see if he can make that defense work in any capacity. If he can, kudos to him. That'll be my week 1 game, though, to at least observe.
I can't even think of any games other than the ones I mentioned.
Yeah.
All I know is that the excitement around 34 and the guys who are, ready to go with their new teams. I know this first blocks is going to be really, really interesting to see how things pan out.
Yeah. I think there are a couple of rematches too from last season. I'm sure you guys already touched on the Miami Notre Dame rematch from last season's week 1. I think this year it'll be Notre Dame at home. Last time it was in Miami. And I'm sure the home field advantage for both of those teams is very pivotal. So that could definitely influence the result of the game. I know Miami kind of ran away with it last season. It was 24-7. And I think the other rematch was the Holme and DiRicchio game that you guys touched on. I think last year that was a week 8 matchup at, I think, NC State, and UConn kept it close for a lot of the game. It only ended up being, I think, an 8-point game at the end of it. Pretty high scoring as well. So that'll be an interesting rematch to watch this season too.
Well, I think I got one other good one just to, again, kind of to see. It's kind of not a season defining one, but it's a good way to kick things off. We've got Weasel at Auburn versus Sergeant Zoot Toot, whatever the hell he calls himself. Michigan and Auburn, those two going at it. That could be potentially a good CFP definer if either of them have some season success as the season rolls on. So that could be an interesting one. Two coaches with two new teams to see how they do. Another good one to kind of keep an eye on.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Before we end the show, you guys have any other topics you want to get off your chest?
I want to know why you think I'm on the hot seat when I got a bank, but we ain't gonna talk about that.
Who cares about your bank, man? You got to worry about the competition that's going to the Mountain West. No one cares about a bank.
I hit my win goal for the first time in 3 seasons, and you're gonna put me on the hot seat. That's cold-blooded, man. That's fine.
Hey, congratulations! At least one of us could hit a win goal.
I was about to say,
I can't hit one.
I think Freak's projecting there, buddy.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm so used to being on the hot seat. I got to put someone else on the hot seat. So congratulations.
I appreciate you sharing the love. Thanks, buddy.
Tag. I would, it's you think about anyone else. So say, hey, screw it. Let's put Boise on there. Blue turf. Let someone else get that blue turf monster.
Nah, y'all gonna try it out my cold dead hands. If I didn't leave when Genty left, I'm not going anywhere.
True. Well, I gotta say thank you guys so much for the show. D-Kane, iRock, Swove, thanks for hosting it. Thanks for putting it all together. Look forward to next week.
Thanks for having us. We'll be in proper season form after the season starts. We promise. We'll get it together.
I'll have the microphone on this time.
You're good, Swove. And hey, thanks for making up the topics, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming with talking points and keeping things interesting. Looking forward to speaking with you guys again.